Hello, everybody. Today we're going to start our new unit on the regions of North Carolina. This is just going to be a very brief introduction, a very broad overview of the regions. We're going to answer things like how many regions are there, what are their names, what's inside of each region, why is each region important, and things like that. We will get much more in depth um, as the unit goes on, but today's purpose is just a brief introduction. So, to start, there are three regions in North Carolina. We have the mountain region out here in the west, we have the Piedmont region right here in the middle of the state, and then we have the coastal plains out here to the east. So, we're going to start with the mountain region. So, the mountain region obviously gets its name because there's mountains out there. We have a very popular group of mountains here in North Carolina called the Blue Ridge Mountains. And you can see from this picture they get their name because even though the mountains are full forests and vegetation, when you look out across, um, there's this really cool and really beautiful blue tint to them. It looks blue, so that's obviously where the Blue Ridge Mountains get their name from. Um, if you look down below that, here is a picture of the Biltmore Estate. Some of you may or may not have heard of the Biltmore Estate, but it's a very, very famous landmark out in western North Carolina. It's actually in Asheville, North Carolina. And people come from all over the state and all over the country to visit this place. It's a huge, huge mansion. You can spend the night there and kind of see what it was like to live back hundreds of years ago because it was built hundreds of years ago. So it's a very, very popular landmark. And also, the mountain region of North Carolina is home to the tallest mountain on the east coast of the whole entire United States. So out of all the states that line the eastern seaboard of the United States, North Carolina has the tallest mountain out of all of them. So now we're going to move to the Piedmont region, which is right here in the middle of the state. This is actually where we live here. This little bitty rectangle right here. Here is Orange County. So this is where we go to school, Orange County Schools. This is also home to the state capitol here just across the way in Wake County. That is where Raleigh is at, our state capital. So what does the Piedmont region have to offer? Well, it's got some really, really, really great top of the line colleges and universities in the whole entire country. And I'm sure many, many of you are familiar with Duke, UNC, NC State, and Wake Forest. Most of you are probably know them because they're famous for basketball, right? Here in the Piedmont region and really in the whole entire state of North Carolina, basketball is huge. So these colleges and stuff are very, very well known, not only for their academics, but for their athletic programs, particularly basketball. And these same colleges and universities are also famous for the hospitals and the healthcare that they provide. They have some very, very state of the art hospitals where doctors and everyone are constantly doing research for medical purposes. So we're very lucky to live right down the road from all of these. The Piedmont region is also home to the major cities here in North Carolina, where the other regions might have one or two big cities. Here in the Piedmont region, we have five major cities, and some of you may have heard of them, been to them. Maybe you have family that live there. But the major cities are Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Raleigh, Fayetteville, and Charlotte. And of course, the Piedmont region is also home to the state's major league sport teams, such as Charlotte Hornets, the Carolina Panthers, the Carolina Hurricanes, which are in Raleigh. They also have a very, very popular minor league baseball team called the Durham Bulls, which I'm sure many of you have been to a game, especially during the summer when there's no school and you can stay late enough to see the fireworks. The Piedmont region also has the North Carolina Zoo, which I'm sure many of you have visited on a field trip before. And the zoo is huge. It's we're very very lucky to have a zoo that is as big as it is because there are a lot of animals at the zoo, and many states don't have a zoo that's as nice as the one here in North Carolina. And so now we'll move on to the last region, the coastal plains or the coastal regions. So, what do you think the coastal plains has to offer? The beach, obviously, right? It's our favorite vacation spot during the summer when we have no school to worry about. So, North Carolina is famous for some of the most beautiful beaches here on the east coast of the United States. What's also very cool about North Carolina's beaches is the lighthouses that line the coastline. There are other states that have lighthouses on their coastline, but North Carolina has some of the tallest and some of the oldest. And we'll get into the history of these and what they were used for and things like that later on during the unit. The coastal plains also has a city you might have heard of called Wilmington. Wilmington is the beach city here in North Carolina. It's one of the oldest cities actually. It was used and still is used as a port where big ships come in to deliver supplies and goods, and then they also leave the port of Wilmington to take the supplies and goods elsewhere in the U.S. But a popular tourist attraction in Wilmington is the Battleship, which you can see here, which some of you may or may not have been to. Um, there's also the aquarium at the beach, which I'm sure quite a few of you have been to. The aquarium is like the zoo, very, very nice, very high quality, and it brings in a lot of money for the state from people that go to visit. And lastly, the coastal plains is also home to the Outer Banks, which if we go back to the map, you can see here's Wilmington down here, kind of towards the south, and then here's the Outer Banks, way, way up here, very close to Virginia, because remember, Virginia is above North Carolina. So the Outer Banks is a popular vacation spot, has beautiful beaches as well, and it's actually very, very popular for fishing. A lot of people come from all across the United States. At some point during the year, they will visit the Outer Banks to fish, more than likely. It's a very, very hot spot for commercial fishing, and we'll get a lot more in depth later on in the unit. But for right now, that's all that I want to talk about. I want you to, now that the video is over, think about which region you would like to learn more about. Because at the end of the unit, we're going to be doing a research project where you will choose your favorite region and then do a research project, a more in-depth research project about it. So that's it for today, and we'll see you all tomorrow.